Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In my last video, I discussed about the fund accounting interview questions for entry level. That time only I told that your interview question will change based on your experience. So in today's video, I am going to cover for the mid-level interview questions. So now the first thing will come, who all will be eligible for the mid-level role? So if you go for the educational qualification, as I mentioned in the last time only, anyone who has done BCom, MCom, BBM, MBA, or if you have done CA, CS, CFA, CA intern, CS intern, all of you will be eligible for the fund accounting role. Along with this educational qualification, you should have some of the work experience to apply for a mid-level role. So if you have a 2 to 5 years of experience in fund accounting field itself, you will be eligible for the mid-level role. And if you don't have a fund accounting background, but if you have a good knowledge in fund accounting, if you understand the funds and if you understand how it works, then maybe 5 to 6 years or the 7 years of experience also you can apply for the mid-level role. So it depends on how your interview goes. If you have a 4 years of experience from a non-fund accounting background, but if your interview goes well, you can be still eligible for a mid-level role. So when you go for a mid-level interview, it is expected that you will know some bit of fund accounting. Why? Because in a mid-level, you will be either doing the complex fund, you will be preparing the complex fund, or you will be a subject matter expertise where you will be reviewing the funds. So in that case, it is very important that you understand how the funds works. So let's start with the interview questions. When we go for the interview, the first question which comes is, tell me about yourself. In my last video, I already mentioned how you have to approach for this question, how you have to introduce yourself to the interviewer. I also mentioned what is interviewer looking when they ask this question and how you need to present yourself in this. So I will suggest all of you can refer that video to get the understanding for this. Also, before I start this video, I should mention that when I am talking about the mid-level interview question, it is not like that you will not get an entry-level question. So when you are appearing for a mid-level interview, you will get the entry-level questions as well, which was there, which I already mentioned, like the accounting principles, the journal entries, basics about the bond, basic about what is the NAV, what is the formula of NAV, what is the asset, what is the liability. All this question will come, it might come for your mid-level interview as well. Why it comes? Because when you are applying for a job, you should know the basic. When an interviewer asks you a basic question, they want to know whether you know the basic concepts of fund accounting or at least the basic concepts of accounting or not. So that's why these questions will come and you need to prepare for them as well. Now I will be moving on to the other questions which can come for mid-level interviews. So what happens is when you apply for a mid-level job, your complexity of the questions will change. So the topics will remain same. The corporate action topic, the bonds, or the expenses, all those things will remain same. Only things comes is your complexity will increase and also there will be more of a scenario based question. So if I go for the expenses, so yes, there can be a question about what are the kind of expenses you can see in a fund. So you can tell that there can be two kinds of expenses like fixed and variable expenses. So there can again question comes, why there is a difference between fixed and variable expenses, how you can differentiate between fixed and variable expenses. So you need to explain that. Then there can be question on performance fees, because generally I have seen interviewers love to ask about performance fees, about hurdle rates, high water mark. Then they can ask you what is a management fee, what is a management fee rebate, why a investment manager will give management fee rebate. So all this question can also come. Also, when you introduce yourself, and if you are from a fund accounting background, and if you are telling that I have worked on like fund of funds, I have worked on multi-manager fund, I have worked on master feeder funds, so then obviously the interviewer will ask you questions like what is a fund of fund, or what is a master feeder fund, what kind of structures you have seen, how the multi-class fund, how the class divergence work. So in this way, with your topics only what you are introducing to the interviewer, the different questions will start coming. So if you say that I have worked in hedge fund, or if you say that I have worked in a fund where I have seen performance fee, so definitely the question will then turn into the performance fee. And if you say that okay, I have worked in normal fund, I have seen management fee rebate working, so definitely then it will come that what is a management fee, what do you understand about the prepaid expenses, because if it is a new fund comes, sometime there will be a component called prepaid expenses. So those questions will come, and why the interviewer will ask in depth about these questions. Why? Because if you are an SME, it is expected that if there is any issue into the fund, you will be able to resolve it. So for you to resolve those queries, you need to be very thorough with your concept. That's why this in-depth question will be asked. Next, if I go for a corporate action. So when I told about the entry level interview questions, I said they will be asking what is stock split, they will be asking what are the different kind of corporate actions you know. But when it comes to the mid level, they can also ask you that what is a spin-off, what is a stock split, but they can ask you in depth also that okay, have you seen rights in your funds? Okay, if you have seen, do you know how intrinsic price is calculated? Then they can ask you, okay, do you know what are the two different kinds of rights are there? Like they are expecting an answer, like you will say that, okay, I know there is a tradable right and there is a non-tradable right. Why they are asking this? Because if you don't know that there are two kinds of rights, that one is tradable rights and one is non-tradable right, then you won't be able to understand whether you are getting the intrinsic price from the Bloomberg or whether the corporate action team is calculating it. So that's why these basics should be clear. And what happens, what I have also seen in my fund accounting career, there will be people who will do it like a blindly as a process wise. Okay, I have to do process number 1, I have to do process number 2, I have to do process number 3, I have to do calculate NAV, done. And there will be other people who will be actually understanding the logic behind why I am doing process number 1 and then why I am moving to process number 2. If you want to grow in your career, you cannot do the fund accounting process blindly. You need to understand the logic behind it. If you are clear with your logic, your interview for any level will be very smooth. So next, for the corporate actions, there can be question like what is the difference between stock split and reverse stock splits? Because these are also, as I said, you can see a corporate action happening in your fund and it is a reverse stock split, and for that they can ask you, if it is a reverse stock split, how price is going to impact. So you need to understand the stock split, how the price going to impact, the reverse stock split, how the price going to impact. There can be a question that okay, if there is a name change corporate action happens, will it going to impact your price? So these are the, not a very difficult question I will say, but it is a tricky question. You need to answer it very carefully. Then there can be a question on what is the difference between options and warrants, what is the difference between options and future, what is a swap, what are the different kinds of swaps you have seen. So these are the straightforward questions. So I have only here I have covered the expenses and I have covered the corporate action bit. Definitely there can be more of a scenario based question when it comes to the mid-level interview. So I will give you some examples of the scenario based question. So like there can be question like, if there is a sell trade on a security today and the security is also going XD, will you be eligible for the dividend? So why they are asking? Because this is where people mostly do mistakes. If your security is going XD today and if you are selling those security, you will be still eligible for the dividend. I have created a video separately on the dividend important dates. You can refer to that video as well. That will help you to understand which date, if there is a trade and if the security is going XT, how you will be eligible or you won't be eligible for the dividends. Then there can be a question that there is a sell trade on a security going XT and you miss to book the trade. Will it going to impact? So when interviewer is asking you a scenario based question, always listen to it properly, because there can be some of the tricky things, sticky points mentioned. And why they will ask you this kind of scenario based question? Because that kind of things actually happens into the day-to-day fund. There are days where you have a security going XT and there is a sell trade where custody has not informed us on the same day. They have informed us on the next day and you are booking a backdated trade. So if there is a buy trade and you are booking a buy trade on a security which is going XT today, are you eligible for the dividend? And if you are booking it on a backdated, how it is going to impact your funds? So those all things I will suggest, always listen to that question. If there is any scenario based question, if you don't understand it, ask it again and understand all the topics. So let's say what I told about the first question, that if there is a sell trade on a security today and security is going XT today, will you be eligible for the dividend? So understand that today my security is going XT and I have a sell trade today. So make it clear from the interviewer, okay, and then you answer these things. There can be another question like, these are all the same scenarios, I have just changed the question because this kind of changes also can come and that can be asked. Like there is a security going XT today and dividend is not booked on that day, then what will happen? That can also happen, like security is going XT but the rate is not updated or the dividend accrual, the receivable is not updated into the system. Then how it is going to impact your fund? It will impact, right? Because the answer what interviewer is looking is that if the security is going XT, your price is going to drop. The price drop is not going to impact your NAV if you would have booked the receivable, because that would have inflated your asset, and where you have a price drop, that would have nullified the impact. But when you are not booking a dividend, you are not taking the another leg of it, and that's why your NAV is going to impact, which is going to be a wrong impact on your NAV. So something on that line is interviewer is looking for you. So always I will suggest, when you are getting a scenario based question, be very careful, understand the question properly and then only answer. Take your time, pause and then understand and then answer it. Next, there can be question like, if there is a duplicate trade in any day, and that I will tell many a time it happens into the fund accounting, that duplicate trade might flow in. Generally we will have in different companies, we will have different kinds of checkpoints to identify if there is a duplicate trade, but still there can happen that a duplicate trade got passed through all the reviewers and the duplicate trade was not identified and it got posted. So how it is going to impact your fund? So when you have to tell it, you have to analyze it from all the perspectives. You have to tell that, okay, if it is a duplicate buy trade and if the price has gone up, it is going to impact my unrealized gain or loss. If it is a price up, then it will be double impact of my unrealized gain. And also if I booked a duplicate buy, my share price is going to increase as well and my market value is going to increase. So in all these aspects, my fund NAV gonna impact. So you need to be very clear when you are answering on all this, so that they can understand, a interviewer can understand for each and every action what is happening into the fund, you can relate it to the NAV. So understand one thing, when you are doing a fund accounting job, or when you are doing any activity, you are booking any trade, you are booking any dividend, there is any corporate action, you need to always think it how it is going to impact your NAV, which are the component which is impacting the NAV. If you understand that, then your work is clear, your concept is clear, and then even interviewer, when they ask you the question, they will ask you from the basis of the NAV only, where how any activity is impacting the NAV. That is what they are looking from you. Next, there can be a question on if there is any corporate action processed, how it will impact the fund. They can ask you, they can try to confuse you that okay, there is a stock split and your price has gone, there is a stock split and your price has gone down, how you are going to impact, how it will impact, don't you think it is going to impact your NAV? So then you need to be, if your concept is clear, you will not get confused. Even if your interviewer is trying to confuse you, that also many a time happens. Even I personally have done that many times, to see how confident you are with your concept. If you say one thing and then if interviewer is counter questioning you and if you change your answer, then that means you are not confident about your concept. So if I know that on a X date my price is going to drop, even if someone counter question me, I can still say that okay, suppose someone asked me, do you think that on a X dividend date the price is going to drop? I said yes, on a X dividend date the price is going to drop. If they say no, there is a scenario which price has gone up, how it is possible, then I can say that there can be a market movement, because of that the price has gone up. But generally if we see, whenever there is a dividend distribution, there will be a price drop. Price going high is a very rare scenario. So like that, you need to be confident with your answer when you are giving an interview. Also, there can be a question on class divergence. If you are working in a multi-class funds, they can ask you on class divergence. So I will suggest to have a basic knowledge if you are working on those funds. And if there is any question asked to you which you have never worked, you can straight away say that I don't know about it. See, when you apply for an interview, interviewer is not trying to ask you a difficult question. They will just want to know what you are doing on a day-to-day basis, whether your concepts are clear about it or not. So if you are working on a simple standalone fund where you have seen only 2 fixed expenses and you have seen only simple corporate actions, but still if you know about them clearly, that is also good enough for you. Next, there can be questions on reconciliation breaks as well. I have created a video, detailed video on cash reconciliation, stock reconciliation and income reconciliation. I will suggest to please go through those videos, because there I have explained the multiple scenarios what we see in a cash rec and a stock rec and an income rec, and these questions can also come because reconciliation is one of the important part in fund accounting. So there can be question like what are the kind of cash recs you might see, what if there is a difference between cash rec difference between custody and FA, how you are going to resolve it, what are the steps you are going to take. So be prepared about the reconciliation question as well. Also like for bonds, there can be question on amortization, and there can be question like if I am doing a amortization and bond price is going to also change, right, every day if you have purchased it. So then how it is going to impact your NAV, how you are going to connect about it, what are the different kinds of accrual methods you see in bond. Then for dividend, they can ask you what is the reclaim, how reclaim is processed into the fund, why we are going for a reclaim into the fund. So these questions can also come for a mid-level interview. So basically this is on a nutshell about the mid-level interview question. I have also in my last video I have mentioned a few important points about when you are appearing for any interview to read about the company. Even if you are appearing for a same company's job, which company you are working, don't be very casual. I will still say read about the company, the head of the people who are there in different streams, how many employees are there in your current company. So these are very important areas to focus about. Also I have mentioned, and today also I will again mention, don't try to bluff or try to give a wrong answer in the interview. As I said, if any topic which you have not come across before, any topic is very new to you, just say that I don't know about it. That is absolutely fine. And also have a positive attitude for the interview and be confident about the interview, and always know your basic. That will be my thumb rule for giving you as tips for any interviews. Always know your basic, be clear about your concept. If you are doing any index tracking fund, understand why you are doing an index tracking fund so that you can answer it confidently to the interviewer. So that's all about the mid-level interview question. In my next video, I will come up with the managerial level interview question. Thank you very much. Keep watching.